Can you believe the incredible history behind Hallmark Media? Every year before Halloween occurs, the various Hallmark channels lean right into Christmas, their biggest time of the year. Their Christmas movie celebration goes on from mid-October until January, then bringing them back several times a year. For decades, these movies and shows have captured a specific demographic and market, making them extremely popular. But how did they grow and develop so much? How did Hallmark Media become an empire? How did it become every mid-aged white woman's favorite channel? In this video, we will go through the history of the incredible media empire. Before we can go through the history of Hallmark Media and its epic rise and growth, we must first understand how they became so large and powerful in the media world. The various Hallmark channels stem from the Hallmark cards, which, as many of you know, are the leader in greeting cards throughout the US and the world. They have a strong hold on the entire market and have dominated this niche market for decades. Hallmark Cards Inc. was founded on January 10, 1910 by Joyce Hall, or also known as J.C. Hall in Kansas City, Missouri. The concept of the company came from the early 20th century postcard craze that was sweeping the U.S. Originally called Norfolk Postcard Company in 1907 out of Norfolk, Nebraska, J.C. Hall, with the help of his brothers William and Raleigh, would develop the concept further, eventually buying out the non-family partner. By this point, it was 1910 and the company outgrew its location at a bookstore in Nebraska, which is when they would arrive in Kansas City, officially creating the company we know today. They would begin with selling Christmas letters and greeting cards, but the Hall brothers understood that they needed to expand further if they wanted to survive. This is when the Hall brothers would invent modern wrapping paper, all because they ran out of colored tissue paper. Over the years, the company would continue to expand and develop in an ever-changing market. Eventually, by 1928, they would introduce the brand name Hallmark, which is a gold stamp they would place at the back of every card. This would give the official Hall brothers stamp of approval. Their company continued to grow through acquisition or strategic partnership with various different card or holiday-related companies. By 1954, they would officially adopt the name Hallmark. Throughout the 70s to the 90s, Hallmark continued to build an empire, creating stores, manufacturing Christmas ornaments, entering the world of publishing, and licensing major intellectual properties from various companies. Now that we have established the incredible growth and development of Hallmark as an empire over the years, now we can look at their movement into TV and movies. Their first move into media would occur with a radio series called Hallmark Radio Reader's Digest, which adapted stories from the magazine Reader's Digest. This would eventually lead to Hallmark Playhouse, which premiered on CBS Radio in 1948. The goal of this was to better market the Hallmark products and produce the highest quality shows. On December 24, 1951, the company would have their TV debut on NBC. Their first work would be Amahi and the Night Visitors, an opera specifically written for TV. The Hallmark Playhouse would be hosted by Sarah Churchill on a weekly basis for 30 minutes. By 1953, the company would rename it to the Hallmark Hall of Fame. The Hallmark Hall of Fame would originally feature classical works of Shakespeare, Broadway plays, and biographical documentaries, all of which captured the audiences throughout the U.S. Even though the Hallmark Hall of Fame had success, the company would pivot in 1955 to a special series only seen 4 or 8 times a year to better market their holiday greeting cards. Typically, these features would be anywhere from 90 to 120 minutes long and from various pieces of source materials like books or plays. What made the Hallmark of Fame so successful early on was its use of quality actors. Many times they would get the same stage actors who were playing the roles on Broadway, which gave more credibility to the special series. The Hallmark Hall of Fame would dominate TV for almost 3 decades on NBC. However, the network would end its partnership with Hallmark in 1979, citing decline in ratings. The series would bounce back and forth primarily on CBS and ABC throughout the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and 2010s. Throughout this time, the Hallmark Hall of Fame still stuck with their commitment of making the highest quality works, while still perfectly representing their Hallmark greeting card brand. Many considered the pairing to be perfect synergy on the various networks. Though the Hallmark Hall of Fame had success on both CBS and ABC, by 2014 they finally moved it onto their flagship station, the Hallmark Channel, which would end a 63-year run on broadcast TV. It should also be noted in 2016 the Hallmark Cards aspect no longer was directly involved in the creation of these specials. Rather, it fell into the subsidiary Crown Media Productions. The survival of the Hallmark Hall of Fame onto the Hallmark Channel makes it the longest-running primetime series in the history of TV, with its birth being 1951. The Hallmark Hall of Fame had its hand in making history on TV, which helped lead to the success and development of the Hallmark Channel. The strong roots and success of the Hallmark Hall of Fame allowed Hallmark to further invest in their media and cable operations. However, it would be in the 90s that Hallmark began to develop and create their own look for the brand. In 1991, Crown Media Inc. would be formed with the focus of expanding their TV, movies, and entertainment services further. By February 1992, Hallmark Cards formed Signboard Hill Productions as a production company for their Hall of Fame series and future projects. They would then purchase RHI Entertainment for $378 million in 1992, which provided the company with more content to utilize. In 1994, the RHI Entertainment and Signboard Hill Productions under the new division of Hallmark Entertainment. In 1995, they would then purchase the library of Filmation from Paravision. They would then purchase 9.9% of British media company Flextech. In 1996, they produced a miniseries, Gulliver's Travels, in a joint venture with the Jim Henson Company. Together, they would launch the Kermit Channel, which featured reruns of the Muppets until 2001. The partnership with Jim Henson would continue when they put major stakes into the Odyssey Network, which was an American religious cable network. The two would relaunch the channel in 1999 with the focus of family entertainment. 2000, Odyssey would reorganize into Crown Media Holdings with the goal to launch an IPO. Hallmark received all of Crown Media's Class B shares, which were worth 10 votes each, giving them complete control of Crown Media. The Henson partnership would end once the Jim Henson Company would be sold to a German company, EMTV and Merchandising. The company went public in May 2000, selling 10 million shares at $14. By April 2001, Crown Media would purchase 700 titles from Hallmark Entertainment Distribution, which is a subsidiary of Hallmark Entertainment. Hallmark would have a 65% stake in the company on October 1, 2001. On August 2001, they would relaunch the channel as the Hallmark Channel. By January 2004, the company would establish the Hallmark Movie Channel, a sister to the Hallmark Channel. By this time, the new channel would have 9 million subscriptions by 2006. It is interesting to note that in 2005, Hallmark Channel was put up for sale by their parent company, but they would eventually withdraw the sale due to getting insufficient offers. In 2005, the channel was losing $233 million. Hallmark channels in international markets would be sold for $242 million to Sparrowhawk Media. Crown Media would also sell off their production arm to an investor group led by RHI founder Robert Halmy. Crown Media would then sell its media library to RHI Enterprises LLC. The late 2000s led to multiple CEO and executive changes. By the end of 2009, Hallmark was in 86 million homes. The 2010s brought discussions of a partnership with Martha Stewart, as well as Hallmark's e-card character animated series called Hoops and Yo-Yo, which would go on CBS. In the 2010s, the Hallmark TV brand would begin to develop into what we know today. On March 9, 2016, Hallmark Cards announced it was buying the remaining less than 10% of Crown Media Holding traded publicly and take the company private. Hallmark did so via Delaware's short-form merger, which allowed the bypass of the subsidiary board of directors and shareholders. Since the company went private, they began redeveloping themselves in TV and movies to better represent their brand. The Hallmark created their own subscription streaming service, Hallmark Movies Now, in October 2017, which would have a strong subscription success for Hallmark. Hallmark Media would be established on August 10, 2022, and in October 2022, Hallmark Media announced a deal with NBC Universal to put their content on Peacock. Overall, the history of Hallmark and TV has been one of magic and movies. It has brought a great deal of joy and pleasure to fans across the US and the world. They have expanded from TV to movies to streaming to podcasts and radio. Did you know the epic history of Hallmark? Do you watch the movies each year? Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and follow. Believable Truths.